So I want to dive in right now to hunger because this is really important because you have the power to kill hunger if you know the principles. So with that in mind, let's talk about this new hormone. This is not in the book, by the way. I wanted to give you guys something that was really helpful that I didn't put in the book. This is a current research that I have been diving into. I wish I had put it in the book, but I didn't get a chance to, but it's it would fit really well with everything you're learning. So, for starters, I'm going to keep relieving you of the guilt and the shame that you may be going through with struggling to lose weight. If you are struggling to get your hunger under control, I want you to understand that there is evidence, scientific evidence that's now coming out that one of the reasons that we are so darn hungry is because these highly processed foods, specifically the toxic oils in these highly processed foods, have killed the microbes in our gut that cause these microbes, specific microbes, are the ones that make the GLP hormone that goes up into your brain and turns off hunger. Along with that, these highly processed foods are so stimulating to the brain, and your brain is constantly making dopamine when you eat these highly processed foods, that you have not only reprogrammed your stem cells to make fat cells, you've not only killed your microbes that were making a hormone that turned off hunger, but you've also made yourself dopamine addicted to these foods so you can't get off of them. This is, if there was one advice I could give you all who are struggling to lose weight, you are struggling with hunger, is eat your salad first. Put your fiber on your plate first. Because when you eat fiber first, you feed these microbes that make the GLP-1 hormone. You also, when you put fiber in your mouth first, you also feed the microbes that break down estrogen. Those two things alone will change your life because now you have microbial health that will make hormones and you have microbial health that will break hormones down. Now, I want to say that outside of highly processed foods, the other things that have been destroying our microbiome, one is birth control. The birth control pill, I have a whole section on it in Eat Like a Girl, actually destroys the microbes in your gut. And one of the things that it does is it destroys the microbes that actually help you pull nutrients out of your food. So if you know you have been on the birth control pill for decades, or you have a child or a daughter or a granddaughter or even a neighbor that has been on the birth control pill, make sure you get, I don't know the page name off the top of my head, but make sure you go and look up. I put a list of the nutrients and the list of the good bacteria that you need to add in so you can regrow these microbes in your gut. But fiber is the hormonal hero. This is why you will see in the book there are a lot of these plant-based recipes, because I wanted you all to start to lean into the plants. Next thing is protein. Hopefully you're hearing a through line with protein. We've got to have protein at every single meal. And where I get stuck in my own feeling about nutrition is that I love this idea that we need 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight, but I too am not willing to stop my day to start counting all of that. And as women, we have been counting everything. We have been judging ourselves based off of numbers for too long. So when it comes to this relationship with food, and when I've been asked in the podcasting world, when I've been on these interviews, a lot of people ask me why I wrote this book. And I said a large reason is because I wanted women to start to have a healthier relationship with food. We have such a dysfunctional relationship with food. And as long as we move from counting calories to counting protein to counting carbs, we've got ourselves to looking at the scale, we've got ourselves a problem. So just put protein at every meal. It will kill hunger. It will help you build muscle, which will make you more insulin sensitive. And then the last thing you want to look at when you're looking at what you eat is your carbohydrate. So there is some studies out there right now that are showing that when you sit down to eat this plate that I talked about, this plate where you're making a hormone, breaking it down, and you're detoxifying it, the order in which you would eat it is you eat the fiber first, the protein second, and then the carbohydrate. As opposed to, I know, now I can tell you my chefs are probably cringing right now. They're like, what about the composed bite? We had a lot of composed bites going on in our dinner last night. They're like, you got to put this and this so you get the full experience. But from a GLP hormone hunger level, we want to look at eating the fiber first, then we look at the protein, and then we look at the carbohydrate. So if you're struggling with hunger, try it in that order. So I hope that's, again, I wish I had put that in the book, but since I didn't, I have a chance to do that. You could put the fat, somebody said, what about the fat? You can drizzle the fat anywhere you want to drizzle it, but it's that order that actually stimulates GLP-1 hormone production and will kill hunger the fastest. So I wanted to just point that out. I want to talk specifically about this obesogen because since I started educating the world about fasting, what I saw is so many women struggling. And what was really frustrating for me was that women were struggling not because they weren't disciplined enough. They were struggling because of the chemicals that have been put in food. So literally the first thing that I did when I wrote the outline for Eat Like a Girl is I knew within the first section of the book, we needed a section on obesogens, and I listed them out there for you. So if you have not looked at that page, I want to make sure that they've got it up on the screen. I want you to make sure that you are looking at the ingredients when you buy a food. Some of you, look at saccharin. How many of us, saccharin, aspartame, these are diet foods that are reprogramming your stem cells to make fat cells. And you are eating them thinking you want to lose weight, and they are doing the opposite. The high fructose corn syrup, this is the shit that, this really makes me mad, but this is the bullshit we got to get out of the food for our children. Because they are reprogramming cells within our children, causing our children to have an obesity problem, leading to chronic disease. So this is not a joke anymore. This isn't for hippies that want to eat healthy. This is about if you don't want chronic disease, then you stop eating these ingredients. If you are eating these ingredients, let me say it a different way. If you are eating these ingredients, you are signing yourself up for chronic disease. So the choice is yours. And as sad as it is, what I've been telling the people in my Reset Academy is the best thing you can do is just get food that doesn't have a label. But even for those of us that are trying to understand these ingredients, it's getting more complicated. They're getting more crafty. Like natural flavors is one of the most harmful things you can find on an ingredient label. So the time has come to get to know these. The other thing I put in there was an excitotoxin additives that I wanted you to avoid. And the reason I put it in the book is because so many of the women that are reading this book are going through this perimenopause and menopausal journey where we are losing progesterone, which is causing us to not have as much GABA. The number one symptom of menopause is not hot flashes, by the way. The number one symptom of menopause is irritability. And we're irritable because we lost a major hormone. But then if we add in these excitotoxins, you have now created an incredibly irritable menopausal woman. So I wanted to put those in there. You want to know the foods that will support hormones? Guess what? I have them for you already. It's a free giveaway. Just click the link above and I'll send you a list of all the foods that support amazing hormonal health. Last thing is an ingredient label. Now, I shared this in many of my books, but my mom, bless her heart, my mom, by the way, this book is dedicated to my mom. Those of you who saw the video I did on my socials, and let me tell you why this book is dedicated to my mom. Because she taught me how to read this the moment I could read. The moment I could read, my mom took me to the grocery store and taught me how to read an ingredient label. That is like the greatest thing a mom could do, and this is back in the 70s, so this book has been dedicated to her. And what she taught me was to not look at the nutrition label, to go straight to the ingredients. And my sister and I had what we called a grocery store game, where mom said what she taught me in the 2nd and 3rd grade was that those ingredients are in order of the amount that's in the food. So if sugar was in the first 4 ingredients, we were not allowed to buy it. So this is back in the 70s, so the grocery store game with my mom and my sister and I was, how could we find a food that didn't have sugar in the first 4 ingredients? What a gift she gave me in the 2nd and 3rd grade. Now, I didn't feel like it was a gift back then, but it set me up for really understanding food. So in the book, I have a whole way you can look at the ingredient. They call it a nutrition label. I call it an ingredient label. Because the most important thing is for you to understand the ingredients in there. And if there's a word in there that you do not understand, if you cannot pronounce it, if you don't understand it, put it back. Because it's most likely a chemical. I know you're struggling to lose weight. It may be your fasting length. So in this video, I'm going to show you the perfect fasting length to unstick weight loss. In fact, it's such an incredible tool for weight loss. I think you should start with fasting before you change your food to be able to get into that door in for losing weight.